What's up everybody, I'm Pedro and welcome back to my channel. So today I thought it'd be a really fun idea to do a review on the resume that got me my internship at Amazon. I ended up writing this when I transferred from community college to a 4-year, so I found myself in the position of someone who didn't have very much experience or hadn't taken very advanced electives, trying to apply to a big tech company. So I think it'd be really beneficial for me to do this review in order to give you guys some tips if you find yourselves in the same position on how to write your resume and how to sell yourselves when you don't really have too many things to stand out in your resume. But before we get into that in a couple minutes, let me just tell you about this video that I uploaded last week called What is JSON? I took quite a bit of time making this video and it was very different to all the other stuff that I'd done. So if you could go and take a look at that video, I'll put the link in the description and just give me some feedback on if you liked the video or if you didn't, or anything that I can do differently on the next time that I try to upload a video of that kind. Alright, now let's get into reviewing my resume and giving you guys some useful tips for writing your own resumes. So this is my resume, and you'll notice that I split it off into 4 main sections. I had the technical skills, experience, education, and projects. And you don't have to necessarily have them in this order. This is the order that I did it in because I felt that my technical skills and experience were like the highlights of my resume. But if you don't have nearly as many things to put under experience, you'd probably want to put like education and projects higher up to showcase that you did well in school and that you have some self-motivation to learn new things. All right, so I'm going to start from the top and work my way down on my resume. So initially I had my email, my GitHub, and my LinkedIn. So my email, I personally didn't receive any emails from anybody that I sent this resume to. So you probably don't really need to have your email on your resume. And on my newly updated one, I don't have it on there anymore. So yeah, you can go ahead and just not put your email on that because it really doesn't help much. GitHub. Now GitHub is a bit like iffy for me because a lot of people have told me that you should put your GitHub and that you should show that you have like a pretty extensive like commit history that you're constantly using your GitHub and coding. But I'll put a picture up of my GitHub commit history. It's a barren wasteland. I have almost no commits on it. But this didn't really make too much of a difference for me because my Amazon interviewer didn't even look at my GitHub or make any comments about it. So yeah, if you have any like cool projects or something like that you want to showcase on your GitHub, then feel free to put your link, but it's probably not going to make as big of a difference as most people make it out to be. The next thing that I had was my LinkedIn, and the reason that I put this on here was that I felt that it gave a different view of me, a more personable, like social skills, soft skills kind of view, aside from what my resume focused on, which was my technical skills. So I put it on there in case anyone was interested in seeing some of the other stuff that I post on my LinkedIn. All right, so now the first section that I had on here, right, was my technical skills. And so I wanted to highlight the things that I had worked with the most and stuff that I was familiar with, just to get across to whoever was looking at my resume that like I'd worked with, what I've worked with and what kind of experience I could bring. And so I put Java, which is what I did primarily all my coursework in, up to like data structures. So it was by far my most comfortable language. So I put that first. I put Python, including pandas and NumPy, because I'd worked with that at a previous internship, kind of not an internship, that I'll talk about further once we get into the experience section. But I put that on there because I got pretty familiar with it. I had taken 2 classes in C++, so I threw that in there as well because I'd worked with that quite a bit also. And then Git and GitHub, aside from personal use, I'd also used it in my data structures class. So I put that on there as well because I had worked with it and I was pretty comfortable messing around with it. Familiar stuff, I had SQL, which I'd worked on during that internship, which I'll touch on further. JavaScript, I worked on JavaScript with one of my friends on a project, and so I put that on there because I had messed around with it a little bit, as well as HTML and CSS. I worked with these 3 all together when I tried to make a web page, so I was trying to learn a little bit about how web pages worked. So I put this on here to show that I was familiar with these things, and if I needed to work with them, I could at least have something to build off of and learn more if I had to. All right, then the experience section. So the first thing I wanted to put on there was this software engineering internship. And so this wasn't really an internship. My mom had a friend who worked at this company, this local finance company, and he recommended me so that I could come in and do some like data analysis, like very basic stuff. But I was able to pick up some Python and learn Panda and NumPys, since I had to do a lot of translating their Visual Basic scripts to Python scripts, which interacted with their databases. So I learned a lot about Python, a lot about pandas and NumPy, and a little bit about writing SQL queries. So I really wanted to milk this as much as possible, because this is as close as I got to having professional experience in software engineering. So I put this at the very top of experience, and I wanted to focus in on this. The next three things that I had on here were actually things that I did at school. So the first thing was I went to the ACM ICPC coding competition, but this one was hosted primarily for community colleges. And I made a small team with a couple of my friends, and we ended up coming in second place, or first runner up, as we jokingly like to say. And so we got a whole certificate and everything. So I decided to put that on there because it was an achievement and it was related to coding. So I thought it was relevant experience. The next thing was actually a math competition, which was the Amatic Student Research League. And again, I made a team with a couple of my friends, and we did this like statistical analysis thing to try and figure out what the safest place in the US was to live in based off of the natural disasters. So we did a little bit of data analysis using some JavaScript. And so I put that on there because we actually ended up coming in first place in all of California. And I actually have a funny story because I joined this team because another teammate had dropped out. And so I like joined the team, did all the work with my friends, and then we got a gold plaque that's in our math department. And to this day, that plaque in the math department has the other student's name and not mine, even though I did all the work. And my friends still do not let me live it down and joke with me at every opportunity that they get. And so if you guys are watching this, you guys need to cut that out. But yeah, funny story. Anyways, the next thing was, and this is, I think, one of the big ones that doesn't get as much credit, but I was a tutor at my community college for physics, math, and computer science. And so I would help students out that either were struggling with computer science or like just needed help with a project. And this really helped me a lot in terms of having to explain like my thought process when it came to solving problems with code, or just trying to explain complicated coding concepts to people who didn't know about code or were very unfamiliar with it. And this was a really beneficial skill to have, especially when it came to like the behavioral portion of my interviews and the whiteboard section of the coding challenges, because I felt that this trained me quite a bit to think out loud and to really try to outline what I was thinking and the algorithm that I was trying to implement. And so tutoring is actually one of the best things that I could have done in terms, and putting it on my resume just showed that I was pretty personable and was able to explain difficult concepts to people. So yeah, that was the experience section. And then I put education towards the bottom. I had a decent GPA. I had a 3.9, which is really good. But like I said, I felt that my experience and technical skills was much better than my education and projects. So I put those like way up front. But feel free, if your education and projects seem to take more precedence in your resume, put those at the top. So yeah, just put those at the top if they're much better than your experience and the technical skills. And then projects, I have never been very good with projects. I did one project because I had learned Python and I was really into music. I'm still really into music, but I was looking at lyrics at that time and I wanted to do some like natural language processing and do some sentiment analysis on song lyrics from some of my favorite bands. And I got kind of started on it. I was able to like get the lyrics from an API and put them into like pandas objects, into data frames. And then I did a tiny bit of natural language processing, but not enough to like the point where what I'd wanted for the project. But it was relevant experience, and it showed that I learned something new and I was excited to apply it to something that interested me. And that's really like what projects are meant to be, is that they spark an interest in you and you can talk about them and like what influenced them and what it led to. And yeah, so that is basically my entire resume. And I have an updated resume if you guys would like to take a look at that as well. Let me know in the comments section and we can make another video about that. But yeah, this is the resume that I sent into Amazon and that ended up landing me an internship for the summer at Amazon in Seattle. Alright, welcome back everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me reviewing my old resume. If you'd like to see an updated version of this video and me reviewing my newest resume, or if you'd like to see a video all about my experience interning at Amazon, even though I had to do that from home because of the whole pandemic, I'd be more than happy to make a whole video explaining what it was like interning, what I worked on, so on and so forth. But yeah, just let me know in the comment section below. Also, remember to go check out my What is JSON video. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description so you guys can go check that out. And yeah, other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.